Happy Halloween, everybody, and welcome back to Halloween Horror Reviews 2025. October came and it went by at the speed of light, and I cannot believe that we are already at the final video of Halloween Horror Reviews 2025. And keeping with the tradition of me talking about one of the Universal Monster movies every Halloween, moving on to the last review of Halloween Horror Reviews 2025, I'm here to talk about 1935's Bride of Frankenstein, directed by James Whale. Bride of Frankenstein starts off with Mary Shelley saying, hey, guess what? Our main characters from Frankenstein have actually survived, and Dr. Frankenstein has been goaded by an even madder scientist to build his monster, a bride. And before I continue on with today's video, let's also start our conversation below. Between this film and Frankenstein, which one do you prefer? Let me know below. Oh, and also one more thing, I will be talking about spoilers at some points during the video, so just to let you all know, at some points there will be spoilers, so spoiler warning, here we go. Alright everybody, let's get into Bride of Frankenstein. Damien! This movie is a special one, everybody. Bride of Frankenstein was a movie that I only saw one time, so I don't really remember having very vivid memories of this movie, but I just remember that I did love this movie as a kid. But there was something about this movie when I first saw it as a kid that just always stuck with me. It was probably because of how amazing it looked visually, but otherwise, rewatching this movie the other night was like I was watching this movie all over again for the first time. And man, has Bride of Frankenstein held up beautifully. I mean, holy crap. I adore Frankenstein. Frankenstein is one of my favorite movies of all time, but I gotta tell you all, in some ways, Bride of Frankenstein is a better movie than Frankenstein. Performances-wise, once again, everybody here is great. Whether it comes down to Boris Karloff as the monster, Colin Clive as Dr. Frankenstein, not to mention as well, Elsa Lancaster, I believe that's how you pronounce her last name, who not only portrays Mary Shelley, but also, our first spoiler, she does portray the Bride of Frankenstein. Also, another person I gotta talk about briefly is the even madder scientist in the film, who I'll put his name right here, but also, he was great in the film. The main person that I have to talk about is Boris Karloff once more, as the monster, as Frankenstein's monster. Throughout this film, Boris Karloff does such a great job of portraying a monster, and this actually goes in line with what James Whale was doing in this movie, but I'll get to that in a little bit. Boris Karloff does such a phenomenal job of giving a performance of a creature that is just, well, that is just lonely. He only wants to be loved, he only wants friendship, but because of the events of the previous film, knowing what happened, people are only out to get him. Boris Karloff, an incredible Frankenstein, or excuse me, an incredible monster as Frankenstein's monster. I cannot say enough good things. I think I said this in my review of The Invisible Man, I'm not too certain, but one thing that I think is for certain when it comes down to the Universal Monsters movie franchise, and that is that James Whale, at least in my personal opinion, is the best filmmaker that has worked on these movies. What James Whale did with the horror genre with these three movies is that he brought something very special, brought actually, depth, thematic stuff, and well, nuance. While James Whale definitely did make a horror film, Bride of Frankenstein, more than anything else, feels like a dramatic tragedy, and that brings back to what I said earlier. Bride of Frankenstein, more than anything else, is about a creature that just wants to be accepted and loved by society, but because of the events of the previous film, they don't see him as a friend or even as a companion. People just want to kill the monster. And what James Whale accomplished here is something nothing short of really a sequel that had really no business being as good as the original film, let alone in some regards better than that original film. Because what James Whale explores here is not only continuing the consequences of what that first film did, but showcasing this being this monster that's, well, lonely. Bride of Frankenstein is not only shot gorgeously, but something that I noticed, especially when it came down to not only this film, but how the Universal monster movies were produced in the subsequent years. The camera work, the cinematography, the production design, the backdrops, how all these movies have evolved over time. These movies just got better and better and better. There are sections of this movie just from the filmmaking and just seeing how Boris Karloff moves from a set, in this case a forest, and you see the backdrops and how those shots are framed going along with the score. I didn't remember of how moving this movie really was when I first saw it, but then again, when I saw this movie as a kid, of course, I wasn't looking into thematics. I was just only wanting to be, excited and scared by a monster film as a kid, to which, yeah, I was absolutely scared by this film and I loved because I was excited by this movie. But watching this movie as a person that's nearly 33 years old and just looking into this movie as on a deeper level, Bride of Frankenstein really did show me a lot more things that I was not expecting. Bride of Frankenstein's musical score, once again, like Frankenstein and like the other Universal monster movies, the score in this movie is just epic. The last thing that I gotta mention, this is definitely the biggest spoiler warning, so once again, spoiler warning for those of you who haven't seen Bride of Frankenstein. The last thing that I gotta talk about is the final 5 to 10 minutes, and that is because of this. The Bride of Frankenstein is finally made, she shows up, and the bride is finally revealed. And guess what, guys? The Bride of Frankenstein is only in this movie for the final couple of minutes of this movie. For some reason, I thought that I remembered seeing the bride a lot more, but seeing her appearance in this movie, I literally, after the movie and I just was like, she's in it for that long? Really? While the movie's title is called Bride of Frankenstein, this is not about the Bride of Frankenstein, although it is literally in the freaking title of this movie. And this is a movie that explores the monster not only feeling lonely, but wanting to be accepted by society more than anything else. Because man, once we get to that final couple of minutes and the bride is fully revealed and the monster is saying, "My bride, friend," only for the bride to be scared by what was supposed to be her husband and hissing at the monster, for the monster go, "No, no, no. We're meant to be made for each other. You're literally made to be my bride." Only for the bride to not only be scared by him, but to be by Dr. Frankenstein's side. Even though this ending is such a sad and such a heartbreaking ending, the thing I love about this ending more than anything else is knowing that the monster comes to a realization that, you know what, hey, I wasn't meant to come back alive. I should have just stayed buried because of what I have done in this world. I was looking this up and I found out that James Whale's cut before the original film's runtime was 90 minutes. James Whale cut out 17 minutes, and this was all done just 2 days before the film's premiere. So I'm wondering what happened. I love the pacing, I love everything about this movie, but I am genuinely curious as to what he cut out. I am really curious.
Happy parents, you old fuck!
The only real issue I have towards this movie is such a minor nitpick. Bride of Frankenstein is a better overall film than Frankenstein. Absolutely yes. But as far as the movie being a horror film goes, I do think that Frankenstein is the better horror movie. That is what I can say. So overall, while it may not be the better horror film than Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein is a sequel that exceeds the original in almost every single way. All in all, I'm gonna give Bride of Frankenstein a 5 out of 5. Put this one on, it is such a wonderful and exciting sequel. And not only is that gonna wrap things up for my review of Bride of Frankenstein, but that is also a wrap on Halloween Horror Reviews 2025. Everybody, thank you all so much once again for watching another year of Halloween Horror Reviews. I had such a great time, and I really hope you guys had a great time watching these reviews. I had so much fun, but as they say, good times must come to an end. But in the case of Halloween Horror Reviews, good times will come to an end for now. I hope you all enjoyed my review of Bride of Frankenstein. If so, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. If you guys want to see my previous 2 videos, please click on right there or right there. And of course, until my next review or video goes live, I will see you all next time.